Cognitive switching is murdering your productivity. Hi, it's Jeff again for another archival episode of Plain English. We have been telling stories for English learners here for years, and there are some good ones, like this one, in the back catalog. Cognitive switching. It's a scientific term for letting your attention switch from one thing to another thing, and back again, and to something else. And if you're anything like me, cognitive switching has a high cost. I try. I'm telling you, I try. I try not to switch too much, but it just happens. I need a refresher, so I'll be listening along with you for these tips that I gave back in 2021. Hey, maybe I'll even log in and take the quiz too. You never know. I did write the questions, but that was years ago. The quiz and the full lesson are at plainenglish.com/367. Years ago, the word multitasking was a hot new concept. Busy professionals, especially in emerging knowledge-based fields, could get multiple things done at once. What could be better than that? Take a phone call and update a report. Do some research and respond to emails. Drive to a meeting and participate in a conference call. Watch a training video as you do your normal work. Today, multitasking is a bit of a joke. If you say you're multitasking during a meeting, you're all but admitting that you're not paying attention to the meeting. Our brains are just not designed to give our attention to more than one thing at a time. But even if the word multitasking has become a joke, the concept persists in a different way. Multitasking has changed from doing two things at once, which we now agree is largely ineffective, to rapidly switching between tasks during the workday. Frequent switching, however, is just as bad as trying to do two things at once. That's because every time you switch your attention from one thing to the next, you lose some productivity and focus. What's more, you rarely realize how much time and energy you lose when shifting your attention. And the work we do when switching from task to task is more prone to errors. Why does this happen? Our brains have settings that help us focus on a task. Those settings are called mental control settings. It's our brain's preparation for doing something important. When we switch tasks, we need to establish new mental control settings. Our brains prepare differently for cooking a meal than, say, for analyzing statistical models. Both require mental preparation and focus, but they require different settings. When we switch tasks, our brains need to establish new control settings, and this requires time and energy. We can make this easier on ourselves by taking a short break and warming up to a new task. But what's surprising is that the previous task's control settings need to be slowly deactivated. And if you shift too much and too fast each time, then your brain is constantly fighting against the previous control settings. So as you make a delicious pasta sauce, your mind has to fight the settings it had been using to analyze the p-values of a statistical model. Switch too frequently, and that struggle can drain you of energy and focus. There are a few other costs to switching. If you get interrupted in the middle of an important task and switch to something else, you need to find your place when you return to that task. We've all experienced this when reading. Something happens and you return to the page only to read a few paragraphs over and wonder where you had left off. If you're a frequent task switcher, you also have to decide which task to return to. Let's say you're doing some online research and you get interrupted by an email. When you're done with the email, you have to decide what task to return to. You might have 2 or 3 tasks pending. Which do you switch back to? That decision-making costs you time and energy too. The costs of switching from task to task are small and are often invisible to us. Nobody is standing there with a stopwatch measuring the switching costs, and the costs may only seem like a second or 2 each time. But when you add up the visible costs and the invisible costs, it can seriously hamper your daily productivity, sometimes by as much as 40%. And that's all not to mention the potential to make mistakes. So if we agree that cognitive switching comes at a cost, what can we do about it? Before I give you advice about minimizing distractions, I will acknowledge some realities about the modern world. There are some interruptions you can't prevent. The goal is not to stop task switching entirely, but there are a few things that most people can do as long as you have some control over your schedule at work. For one thing, you can group your small tasks into a single block of time. This could be scheduling meetings, responding to emails, reaching out to colleagues, sending invoices, organizing your workspace, whatever. Everyone's job is different. But if you group these really small tasks all into a single block, you're less likely to be distracted by them one by one during the day. Another tip is batch processing. Remember that it takes energy and focus to switch from one type of task to another. For example, if you have to do 10 math problems and do 10 household chores, you should do them in batches. Do the 10 math problems in a row and then do the household chores. The same can be done at work. Group similar tasks together and do them at once. I've started doing that at Plain English, and it makes a big difference. We produce 2 lesson sets per week, and I've arranged the schedule so that I can do all my tasks 2 at a time rather than 1 lesson at a time. There are even some things, such as the video lessons, that I do 4 at a time. I'd much rather record 4 videos in a row rather than 2 in a row, but twice as often. It helps my mind focus, and I enjoy it more. There's another old productivity hack that can help here too, and that is the Pomodoro method. Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato. The method's creator, Francisco Cirillo, used a tomato-shaped kitchen timer to develop the solution. Here's how it works. You set a timer for 25 minutes and focus on just one thing until the timer goes off. After each 25-minute session, you take a 5-minute break, and every 3 or 4 of those, you take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. The beauty of this is that you're never longer than 25 minutes away from being able to check your email or respond to instant messages. But if you truly dedicate yourself during those 25 minutes to just one task, then you won't fall victim to inadvertent task switching. Of course, the reality of the modern world is that many of our calendars are full of appointments and they're not perfectly spaced. That's fine. At the very least, try to schedule some buffer time before and after a meeting to take care of those micro tasks so you're less likely to be distracted by them if they go unattended. You should see the number of tabs I have open. That is a proxy for cognitive switching. It's just a disaster. I just counted, it's 60. 60 tabs open? JR, whenever we do a Zoom call and a screen share, he just shakes his head at how many tabs I have open. It's not good. Maybe this should be my New Year's resolution. No more than 10 tabs open in a browser window at one time? Do you think I can do that? Listen, I have a tab open from the snake bite episode. That was a month and a half ago. I really need some help. This was episode number 367, so the full story is at plainenglish.com/367. See you back here on Thursday. Listen up if you speak Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, or Turkish. One of the most frustrating things about listening and reading in a second language is being confused by unfamiliar words or phrases. When you listen to plain English, or when you read the transcript, you probably encounter some words you don't know. When that happens, you have a few options. You can stop the audio, go look up the definition, then return to the episode, find your place, and press play again, but that's exhausting. Or you can just skip it and be confused. That's no fun either. But what if you could see the translation of the word into your language instantly without having to stop the audio, without having to look anything up? Well, you can at plainenglish.com. For each episode, we translate about 100 words and phrases from English to 9 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, and Turkish. And we highlight those words in blue. All you have to do is hover your mouse over the highlighted word and you'll see the translation instantly. It works great on mobile too. It really makes listening a lot more satisfying, and it's a great way to expand your vocabulary in English. The best way to see these translations is to sign up for a free 14-day trial at plainenglish.com. During your trial, you can read as many transcripts as you like, all with the translations into your language. So sign up for your free trial today at plainenglish.com.